Well, welcome back to the channel, mechanics. So as you can see here, I have the subframe out of the Evo and I am prepping it to get power washed. If you haven't already, check out the previous videos and see why I'm doing what it is that I'm doing and how I got to this point. So basically what happened is that the engine had a terrible noise in it. I couldn't troubleshoot it, and I just felt better to go ahead and drop the engine. It's got a lot of miles on there anyway, so I went ahead and pulled it so that I can rebuild it. Now, back to this part right here. So what we're going to do here is basically just power wash it, clean it, prep it, get it ready to go. I still have the old rotors on there, and yes, they're hanging out to the side, but it's really not that big a deal. What we're going to end up doing later on is that we're actually going to rebuild the subframe properly. We're going to get it new bushings, new tie rod ends, new caster and camber adjustments, because eventually we'll be going to coilovers, and we're also going to paint it while we have it out. Does it need to get painted? Not really, no. And also, while we're out, we're going to be replacing some of these hoses for the power steering rack. Now, as you can see, the hubs on there are actually not really secured, because obviously it is a coilover setup. So it's mounted by a tie rod end. Oh, Jesus, don't do that. It's mounted by a strut mount, and then you have the tie rod, the ball joints at the very bottom, held on there by a screw. The boots were ripped anyway, so I'm not really worried about them being held over the way they are. They're going to get junked, and literally they're going to stay in the car only long enough for me to wheel the entire chassis out here, replace the brakes, replace the rotors, replace all the hard parts that I need before I drop the subframe again and rebuild it with new suspension bushings and other parts. Now, obviously I have it suspended, and I have the points that I'm worried about getting water in covered up with a bag, and that is purely to prevent water from getting into the system. I've already drained the fluids and I'm not really too worried about it, but you know, better safe than sorry, right? So enough talking, let's go ahead and get into it. Personal protective equipment, because we sprayed a chemical on there, iPro and gloves. Last thing you want is this stuff to reach your eyeballs and rot your eyeballs out like that. So, a little brush. Kind of use this as a test. See what the hard stuff is. Don't see anything too crazy. Maybe right here. All right, let's go ahead and power wash and see where we're at. Oh, I should say, bag up the electronics or remove them if you can. And same thing with other connectors, and don't spray directly into somewhere where there might be sensitive electronics for obvious reasons, or sensitive hydraulics for that matter. Okay, and just like that, we have basically power washed everything that we needed to for the subframe. So what we're going to do now is that I'm actually going to leave it out for the night and let it dry. It is actually a little bit colder, even though I'm in the south, and the temperature dropped you know, a little bit colder during the winter time, which is what we're in right now. But nonetheless, we're gonna let it dry overnight, and we're gonna put it into the garage. Now, I don't know if you guys saw in the background, or I will link it right here to my IG page and to the actual engine cradle that I built. I didn't make a video on it because I do not feel like my welding skills are up to par with some of the other welding creators on YouTube, and that's completely fine. I don't claim to be a fabricator. I'm trying to get to that point, but I did build an engine cradle for the car. Now, the great thing about that is that the transmission mounts are actually where it's being held up at, and the engine is being supported by the transmission being bolted together, and the transmission is actually bolted to the cradle. So what that means for me is that I will have a stand, a proper stand, and not only for storage but also to work on my transmission and transfer case, which is really important to me because comfort and practicality and function is some of the key I guess pillars or stones or whatever it is you want to call them, that here at Kaz Garage, that we, whatever you want to call us, try to uphold, because, you know, what's the sense in having all these cool tools if you don't use them and if they don't work for you? So we built an engine cradle. Now, what's going to happen is that I'm actually going to sit this out, set it in the sun. The sun's setting right now, as you can tell, and we're going to try and get as much sunlight on it so it's air dry. I have an air compressor, so I'm trying to blow off as much water as I can to help, you know, Mother Nature do its thing. I'm also going to clean up my area down in this little area. I'm not sure if you guys can see it or not. I'll put down some pig mats. The intention wasn't to absorb all the water, but it was there to absorb the oil that is floating down the driveway, and then the sun will air dry the driveway, and I will basically be able to brush up all of the oil and crud particles into one nice little neat pile and dispose of that properly. So like I said, if you're going to be working in a car, especially in your own driveway, in a shop, wherever you're going, please be conscious and be a steward of your environment and leave it better than what you found it. So yeah, so that's enough talking. Like I said, like, share, comment, and subscribe. Check us out on Instagram at Kaz_garage, or CGM maintenance, cgm.maintenance on Instagram. You will see our tag somewhere around here, and have a nice night. Be safe. See you guys later.